Hello again, this is Michael Wojak with your City Council update for August 2nd, 2010. We had a meeting that was a lot of stuff on the plate for the meeting. Really, I'm going to break it down and talk about two issues in particular. First of all, I'm going to talk about the landlord code of conduct, which was discussed. And secondly, I'm going to talk about the the proposed streetlight fee, something that I have been opposed to from the very start, and some other folks apparently got religion in the meantime. Real quick though, I did ask Larry Koshier from RPU to explain a little bit about the $18 million in lawsuits back and forth between the city and SEMPA. I've said this before, and I'm going to continue to say it, and you can take it to the bank, that SEMPA is an absolute ripoff to the city of Rochester. They are worthless to us. They do nothing for us. I look forward to the day, and it will be in the future, but not the too distant future, where we're going to finally terminate this relationship with SEMPA and put them out of their misery and do the work that they're doing ourselves for a lot less. In reality, there was $18 million spent suing each other back and forth. I don't like the fact that we spent those kind of dollars. However, at the same time, it was probably the #1 deciding factor in the killing of Big Stone 2. Would have been a massive coal-burning power plant, and we would have been on the hook for about $84 million at that point. So while there were $18 million spent, it did save us a lot. Of course, the better solution would have been that SEMPA was just responsible in the first place, but that ain't ever happening. So, but fortunately, Big Stone 2 is dead, and the lawsuits are over with. Not things directly happening at the meeting. We had a wonderfully crafted landlord's code of conduct. I've spoken with a number of landlords, and most of those that were in attendance at the previous meeting where we discussed it were quite happy with the compromises and clarifications that were made. There are some, however, that were still concerned, and we were asked to delay again. I had proposed that we discuss it, move approval, and it wouldn't take effect until we did a second reading a month later. Instead, it was proposed that we wait 2 months. So it's 2 more months where we have kind of a pretty poor system in place. I'm not opposed to working with the landlords, particularly the good landlords, but I expect something to come back that's going to be just as tough as what we have right now. I like the code of conduct, and I guess in 60 days we're going to have that back in front of us, and I think the citizens of Rochester deserve to get this pretty serious problem taken care of. I said at the meeting, I'm going to stand by it, that we in Rochester do have a slumlord issue. Most of the landlords we have are pretty good, but we have a slumlord issue, and they must be taken care of. And I look forward to the point where we can have them in front of us and take swift action and do what needs to be done and what should have been done a long time ago. Next up, we had the discussion on the streetlight fee. Now, the origination of this fee was some time ago, and I believe at the time when we voted on it, the council chose to move forward with it by a 6-to-1 vote. As is usually the case, I was the one person who was not a particular fan of this, and in part because what was being proposed was very regressive, a pretty lousy structure, and the RPU board and the consultant took what I had to say and completely ignored it, and not surprisingly what they came back with, I was just as opposed as before. I wrote a column to the Post Bulletin that explaining my side, and the public was pretty strongly on my side and got in the face of the other council members, and it ended up failing by a 7-0 vote. So, from a personal standpoint, this streetlight fee would have been sweet for me. I mean, 3% on my taxes versus this little piddly fee, I was coming out smelling like a rose on it. However, most of our neighborhoods, not so much. If you were in a home that's about the median home price in Rochester or a little bit below the median home price, you were probably actually going to come out behind, particularly when you take into consideration the ability to itemize on your taxes and deduct your property taxes, which you can't do with these fees. The only advantage to a fee, and there are advantages to fees, but the only real advantage is that we can craft fees that are more fair than property taxes. However, when we're proposing a fee and staff comes up with a fee that is less fair and more regressive and more poorly thought out than the tax system itself is, it seems like a no-brainer to shoot it down. The City Council did shoot it down 7-0. Now, I made some statements that I'm going to have to further clarify, and I'm actually going to write a column for the newspaper talking about my perception of what's going to be happening next year. it's a little bit of an unfortunate circumstance, but the reality is we got some things coming forward that we've known about for a long time. We've got our regular inflationary pressures that we have every year, but then on top of that we've got this public works building coming online. It goes back to before I was on the council, and that's going to be an extra $1 million a year starting out, and I think 2012 or 2013 that goes up to $2 million a year that we have to fund. Then in addition to that, we have this 3% streetlight fee that was taken out of the property tax levy for 2010, which is going to go back into the property tax levy in 2011. And I think that I don't know exactly where our property tax levies or our property tax increases are going to come out, but I think it's in the neighborhood of 8% or more, which I think is way too high. But so is the reality of poor decisions, and I don't think a lot of people are going to have a lot of sympathy for the city council when we're building, the Skyway to Nowhere, which was a 4-3 vote, and taking no responsibility for some of our external funding, like with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. These are relatively small amounts of the overall budget, but it plays really poorly when we're making some pretty irresponsible decisions and subsequently not getting anything. Not any real new revenue sources. Now the other kicker that's going to happen next year is we are scheduled to receive, I believe, $8.9 million in LGA. That ain't going to happen given the state situation, I suspect. So there's a little bit of a concern about, well, how much do we have to budget in anticipation of the state cuts, which is a real concern. So I said at the meeting that I think that some people are going to be shocked when they see their property tax bills next year, and I don't do it as a threat. My position is that we have 1 or 2 mandatory new expenses, or essentially mandatory new expenses, some with some park maintenance kind of stuff that we're going to have to do next year because of the Highway 52 contract running out, and then also the new public works garage coming online. I hope that our bargaining groups are reasonable. It's we just can't afford pay increases next year, and I'm not going to be supporting pay increases. That's unfortunate because we have some wonderfully talented staff, and I don't believe that they're overpaid per se. I don't think they're underpaid in general either. But it's going to be a difficult situation next year, and it's very frustrating from my standpoint to see what's gone on with the city council this year fiscally, But November will bring a new council as well, so we'll see where we go from there. So I guess those were kind of the hot items from this last council meeting. I'm going on vacation, so don't expect to see me very much over the course of the next couple weeks. Looking forward to it. I'm hopefully going somewhere where I'm not going to have internet coverage, and I'm not going to hopefully have cell phone coverage either. So I'm looking forward to it. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact me. All of my contact information is available on my website, votewojak.org. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in a couple weeks.